surgery. So when I am looking at somebody's eating habits, I look at 4 different pillars of eating. The first is, what do you drink and are you drinking enough? And we can sum this up pretty quickly. I want to see you drinking as much water as possible. And typically for most people, we'd like to see you drinking at least 64 ounces a day. If you're going to drink other beverages, I do not want them to be sugary beverages, because sugary beverages are calories without any fiber in the background and with very little vitamins and minerals, even your juices. And so that can really contribute to you not getting a feeling of being satisfied and can lead to overconsumption of other calories later. I always get the question of, is it okay to drink other things? And it's perfectly fine to drink things like tea or coffee, ideally without any sweetener added, or if you absolutely have to, maybe one of the artificial sweeteners, which is we are not going to discuss today. But I do want to see at least half of what you drink being just straight water. The next thing that I look at is meal timing. And meal timing is important to maintain blood sugar levels and hunger levels. And this is really dependent on the person as to how often you're going to need to eat, but it generally needs to be somewhere between every 2 to 4 hours. So for an example, if you are getting up and having your breakfast at 6 a.m. and lunch is not until noon, yes, you need to have something in between. However, if you're getting up and eating breakfast at 9 and your lunch is at noon, no, you don't need anything in between. And actually, I don't want you to eat anything in between. And I really am hesitant to say eat small meals, because you could interpret that as eating too much quantity of food at one time. So do think of it as 3 small meals and snacks in between still. Also, when you are eating, it's important to combine protein with good quality carbohydrates, because your quality carbohydrates are going to give you the energy that you need, and the good quality ones are actually slower releasing into the body, so they will last you longer between your meals. And the protein or the healthy fats actually help to slow down how quickly that carbohydrate or sugar gets into the bloodstream. Then the next thing is looking at portions of what you eat. And with the portions, I'm going to give you a couple of visuals here. Portion sizes have really changed over the last 20 or 25 years. So 20 years ago, we would have had about 6.5 ounces of soda if we drank it. And today our typical is at least 20 ounces. And there's a 165 calorie difference between those two. And you can imagine that we have increased our caloric consumption because we consume just more in general, and we've also at the same time decreased the amount of energy that we actually expend, because a lot of us are sitting a lot more now than what people did 20 years ago. I mean, even if you just look at housework, how much different that was. Another example of this would be just a simple turkey sandwich. 20 years ago, it would have been about 300 calories. Now it's about 800 calories. And to put this into perspective, most people, if they walk or run 1 mile, okay, just about anybody, burns about 100 calories. So for that extra amount of calories that you consume when you have these foods, like when we dine out, you could potentially need to go walk an extra 5 miles above and beyond what you would typically do in a day. And that's just unlikely to happen in our lifestyle, and that's why the portion sizes really matter. Also, when it comes to portion sizes, one thing I want you to think about is even too much of a good thing can be a bad thing. And when it comes to food, I would say that that's true for just about every food, with the one exception being the vegetables. I have, in my career of 14 years, never seen anybody over-consume vegetables.